This is intended for mature audiences. There are sexual themes, lots of violence, prolific amounts of profanity, and lots of other inappropriate stuff. Please don't let your kids listen to this.
And that's just from Itchy.
That's very true.
Well, today I crossed the name off my bounty list. The one black mark before Byron Black. I finally got them whores, the weeping widows.
Arthur, come on now. We talked about this. You cannot be going around calling women that. It is just rude. Evander, tell them.
Dolly got one shot by the butt of my revolver, and Reba got her knees blown out, and a swift boot to the noggin. All things considered, it was a good haul.
The Multiverse Collective.
So briefly recapping just for us where we were at. You guys were all riding back towards the mansion, dragging the corpse of Dolly and carrying an unconscious Reba who has been shot once through each knee and was kicked in the skull by Arthur and is currently unconscious with 1 HP, but is stable. She's not going to die on the ride, which we established. And with that, you're riding back to the Coolidge Mansion in a thunderstorm with a corpse and a pre-corpse strapped to the back of Bessie. Itchy's riding Evander, Slick is riding his stolen horse, and Arthur is on Bessie. How is everybody feeling? You guys kind of got a little wild.
I think Arthur feels vindicated. No, he caught his black mark. Even if he did come off in a bad light by calling them both whores and killing basically
and
both of
whipping
them.
a 70-year-old in the back of the head. Yeah.
I think Itchy is just muttering to Evander, just like, Evander, you gotta keep reminding me. Don't let me get on Arthur's bad side. He's kind of scary.
Slick's not entirely sure how to think about anything at the moment. He's just sort of, this isn't exactly where he expected his day to go when he woke up drunk this morning.
That's very fair. I think Slick just kind of got drug into this whole mess and is kind of along for the ride at this point. Mm-hmm. While Itchy and Arthur make a lot of really questionable choices.
Hey, my choices are in the name of the law, so if anyone's making questionable choices, it's the government.
You know what? I think that's a very fair and valid point, and we should potentially petition the newly formed state of Texas.
But it's not going to happen, so...
No.
Well, you got my vote if you're running for governor.
Can you run for governor if you're not a citizen? Although, I don't know. I don't know how this works.
Didn't Arnie do it, and he's German, like in California?
He was citizens, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure you make a fine governor. You got my vote.
Arthur's just gonna turn around and look quizzically at Itchy, just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, he had just volunteered this information without any context at all.
Well, I mean, I heard you thinking about how the government ain't the best, and so I don't know, I was kind of going off of that.
So, I think you guys are gonna have a pretty uneventful ride back to the Coolidge Mansion. But I am gonna roll one thing for Reba really fast, just to see if she wakes up. Oh my god! She does.
Ooh.
One of Reba's eyes cracks open. She doesn't say anything, but she looks pissed the fuck off.
Understandable.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I would be too if I got shot through the knees and kicked in the head in the space of 40 seconds, so...
Yeah, immediately after realizing that her best friend has been killed.
I mean...
Well, I guess she probably doesn't know that she's dead yet, but
she
does see
will
her
soon.
unconscious body slumped over. Yeah, so Reba's starting to wake up. Arthur, are you gonna do anything about that? Do you notice, even?
I think he's not even paying attention. I think he's just dwelling on the fact that Itchy said he could hear his thoughts, and I feel like he's just trying to keep as empty-minded as possible as he's riding back to this mansion.
Yeah, actually, that is incredibly valid. We've been talking a lot about the demons in Itchy's blood, but I feel as though now it's more of a concern than ever before,
yes.
And that is saying a lot.
I imagine Reba wakes up just as that occurs, and she's just like going through her head is like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I think if she did probably hear a little bit of this may have contributed to her waking up. I think she's mostly worried that she's been kidnapped by 3 psychopaths.
I mean, is that really too far from the truth?
I think we can safely say 2 of you are well on your way, and Slick is still an unknown factor in the race towards having a psychotic break.
Very true, very true.
I think Slick is just sort of looking like a wet dog in this thunderstorm.
Yeah.
He just sort of got his head down, just sort of miserable being in the rain. He's not an outdoorsy person. He thrives in bars.
No, unfortunately, Slick hasn't gotten a chance to participate in any sort of fun escamotage or gambling in the last 4 hours since he woke up with that really rank hangover. But Arthur, you'll hear from the back of your horse, really strained Reba kind of croaking out, "Why don't you just shoot me in the face and end this?"
He's just going to ignore her. He's just going to keep riding.
Come on. Don't be a fucking coward. Come on. I am too old to survive like this.
Arthur, the old lady's talking again.
Son, just ignore her.
I am worth the same to you, dead or alive. Why are you even doing this?
I read it dead and alive.
Like one of each?
I reckon it's because he can't read. Evander nods knowingly.
She's just gonna shut up after that. She doesn't know what to say.
I think Itchy looks at Arthur and just gives him a wink. He knows what he did.
But you guys pull back up in front of the Coolidge mansion. Neither the sheriff nor Judge Coolidge are outside. But you do see a cute little puddle of blood right there on the wraparound front porch.
Slick immediately hops off the horse and goes up to the door and knocks on it. He wants to get inside out of the rain.
Arthur jumps off and grabs both corpses and puts them on both shoulders. Well, corpse and semi-corpse.
Corpse and semi-corpse. Yeah, I think Arthur's a gigantic man, and these are 2 frail old women. Or at least they were 2 frail old women. And you don't have any problems at all getting them over your shoulders and carrying them up to that door. Itchy, are you following behind?
Yeah, Itchy is going to let Evander in the house, and he's going to look over at the 2 horses sitting out in the rain. He's just going to be like, "Y'all want to come in too?"
Roll me an animals check.
That is 2 successes out of 4.
One of the horses follows Evander instinctually. It doesn't follow you because you invited it. It follows Evander. The other horse is content to just stay out in the rain.
I imagine Evander is just standing politely in the, I assume there's a foyer opening.
Yeah, there is definitely a foyer. And nobody came to the door to let you in, but the door was unlocked. So you 3 can just, or 5, the 5 of you can just go in.
Yeah, Evander is just standing in the foyer politely.
You said there's nobody immediately inside, right?
No, nobody immediately inside, but you do hear some noises coming from the dining room and far off sounds of people talking kind of angrily.
Hey, we found the old ladies.
Huh? And Sheriff comes around the corner. His hand is now wrapped in real bandages. What the hell is going on here?
Look, ignore the horses, but we got the old ladies, dead and alive, as per the thing said.
He is looking between the 3 of you, and Reba and the corpse that you've drug into the house. And he is, once again, as almost everybody does that interacts with the three of you, is holding his head in his hands, wondering what the fuck to do.
Y'all, it's all right. Evander has the one brain cell. He's using it right now.
He nods, just wide-eyed, and he's really thinking about his life and his choices. And he takes a moment to try and figure out how the hell to get all of you out of this house. Out of his boss's house with your horses and your corpses.
Itchy just looks him in the eye and is just like, you know, you could ask. We could just leave if you want.
He is once again completely baffled and in a panic. And regardless of the storm, he suggests, just let's ride back to town. I can get you the reward money, and we'll take this one, and he gestures to Reba, to the jailhouse.
Should we, bandage her up or anything? I mean, she's bleeding pretty bad.
Nah, she'll be fine.
Poster says dead or alive.
Well, the poster said dead and alive, according to Arthur, so I want to make sure we get them both.
Are
I was just trying to be
pull Slick
cool.
aside for just a quick second.
Are you sure your friends can read?
It's just what he said. I didn't see the thing, so.
Yeah, son, the poster says dead or alive. Don't matter to me.
Sheriff, are you sure you want to be insulting me after lying?
Excuse me?
You heard me.
He reaches for his waist, but he has a giant, mitten hand, and he realizes that he's totally fucked if he tries to do anything about this, so he just hangs his head once again. Let's just ride back to town and get the hell out of this house with your horses, please. I've never had to deal with anything like this before.
All right, Evander, you heard him.
And he just gestures for all of you.
Slick walks out. I assume Slick's horse is the one that didn't follow.
Yes, yeah.
So he just sort of takes a second and shakes off his clothes a little bit before he walks back out into the storm miserable.
So all of you are now on a lovely trail back into town in the rain. Would you like to redistribute the corpses at all, or do you still want to hold on to both of them, Arthur?
I feel like
Corpse and pre-corpse, sorry.
I feel like he'd probably just keep them.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Arthur seems like the kind of guy that won't hand them over until he has the money in his hand.
Yep, exactly the kind of guy he is.
The sheriff is not trying to make conversation with any of you. He keeps glancing at Itchy, but not necessarily in a good way, in a can he actually read my mind? I'm gonna try and keep my mind as empty as possible sort of way. He's very concerned.
Now 2 of us are doing that.
Itchy meets the sheriff's eyes as he thinks that and just gives him a knowing wink.
The sheriff is incredibly unsettled, and he kicks his horse into a much faster pace. He would like to get this over with. And any sort of weird, passing Brokeback Mountain style attraction he experienced towards this flamboyant Danny DeVito looking man, I think has probably passed.
Hey, storyline closed. All right, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
It's
All
probably
right,
for the
close the
best.
loop on that one. What's next?
Arthur, from the back of your horse, you hear that voice again. Just Reba trying to talk shit, trying to get under your skin. She doesn't want to go to jail. And she feels like needling you into shooting her is the best way to avoid going to jail. Her friend is dead. She's all but dead. She's in immense pain, and she wants it to be over. And she also is kind of curious about who the fuck is crazy enough to kill 2 old women who are only worth $200 between the 2 of them.
Just some guy, apparently. But now he knows that it's really annoying her that the facts that she's going to be going to prison, he's just going to ignore her. Suffering will never end.
I just can't believe you killed her. She was near about the sweetest lady in East Texas. And you know the kinds of things a woman's got to do to survive out here? How could you know? No one wants to pay for an old whore.
I'm gonna look back at Itchy. I'm like, just be like, see, I told you they were whores.
Well, surprised you got that one right on the nose.
How about you?
She looks at Slick. She senses a weak link, or at least somebody who's like marginally less crazy than everybody else. The sheriff's way too far ahead for her to try and talk shit.
What's your name, son?
I feel like I shouldn't talk to you.
What's a little harm in giving an old woman a bit of conversation before she dies?
Well, I mean, I was having a pretty good conversation with your partner there, before a bunch of honestly really crazy shit happened right in front of me that I totally was not expecting to happen.
Yeah, that must have been really hard for you. I can only imagine. She was only my best friend.
Made a mean bowl of soup.
Yeah, she did. I wish that I got to have some of that soup before I got shot through both my knees and kicked in the head.
Yeah, that's like really fucked up, right?
I'm gonna tell you something. In my 68 years of living, I ain't felt pain like this ever. And I have lost a child. Yeah. Yeah, I've just the brutality of it all. What'd you say your name was?
Her voice is shaky and thin, like she's bleeding out from 2 gunshot wounds.
People call me Slick.
And now ain't that an interesting name? I think I heard that name before. Where are you from, Slick?
I'm from everywhere, honestly. Sort of rambling around from town to town.
Oh no. You're Slick Wiley, ain't you?
I am.
Oh, Slick. Son, take a piece of advice from an old woman who ain't got nothing to lose. Get the fuck out of here. He's looking for you. He's offering a lot of money.
He? Who's he?
A lot of money. Arthur's ears perk up just a little bit.
Castillo, come on, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Castillo is looking for you.
Castillo. I don't recognize the name.
No? Don Ramon? Nothing?
Slick's like trying to hide. He's very happy the rain is happening right now because he would be sweating otherwise.
Well, maybe I'm thinking of the wrong Slick. Hard to hold a thought in my head right now with all this.
And she would be gesturing to everything that's going on with her. The fact that she's like soaking wet and covered in rain and bleeding out. Probably concussed. But she's also trussed up like a pig, so.
Yeah,
so
not a great situation.
Gesture. Yeah. And with that, she just kind of goes quiet. She doesn't have anything more to offer you. And I think she's a little sad for you. She gives you a little tight smile. The way that an old woman who's taking pity on you would, like your grandma after you got broken up with by like a woman who was out of your league. Like, oh, grandma, I'm sorry, I'm not dating Elizabeth anymore. She left me. She's like, oh, sweetie, don't worry. You'll find another one. And she knows that you won't. That's the kind of look that she has on her face.
Ryan, are you okay? Do you need to talk about something?
Yeah. They seemed a bit too in-depth.
No, I did watch that happen to my cousin, but that, we're good.
Left or right at the altar. I would know. I was the altar.
Jesus Christ, Matthew.
Anyway, I think unless any of you have anything to say to the sheriff or to Reba, the ride back to town is pretty quiet. Or each other, I guess. You could ask each other questions if you want Itchy to read your mind some more.
No, Slick's pretty quiet after this.
Arthur is like, after he hears the name Castillo, he loses all interest. He just stops listening after that point.
Itchy's humming to himself.
Yeah, sweet. So you guys make it back to town, and sheriff has you all pull up in front of the jail, and he gestures to Arthur to, hand over Reba. I'll go to the bank and get you that $200 if you just want to pass the prisoner over to me so I can get her set up here in the jail cell.
Son, I ain't giving you no one until I have that money in my hand.
The bank's right there. There are 7 buildings left in town after y'all destroyed the rectory earlier. I don't know about that. I was up at Judge Coolidge's place. What the fuck am I talking about?
Destroyed! That building's looking better than before! Itchy points to...
the doorless entryway.
The rain is like pouring in sheets too. You can like visibly see water pooling inside of the rectory.
Sheriff, just get me my damn money, and then you can have this bitch.
He gestures to somebody inside of the jail to come out and wait with you. And lo and behold, it is little piss-covered Waylon Kennedy, the deputy, whose name you've never asked, but I'm going to say his name because I can't keep referring to him as Piss Boy in this podcast. He has changed. He does not have any more dignity, but he is staring at you, trying to look as tough as he can, but you scared the shit out of him earlier, so he's not doing a great job at looking intimidating. And the sheriff runs across the street to the bank to grab your money.
Arthur's just going to stand there, just like...
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Slick has gone inside. He wants to get out of the rain. He's just standing.
I think that makes sense. There is a chair inside.
He takes his boots off and does he dumps water out of them.
Itchy, are you trying to do anything here while we wait for the sheriff to come back?
Yeah, Itchy looks over at Arthur, and he's just like, want me to play good cop or bad cop right now?
Itchy, you don't need to do either.
Well, alrighty then. And I think Itchy goes back to a beautiful 2-part harmony of the Texas song, the Deep in the Heart of Texas. Him and Evander are just singing whatever that song.
Yeah.
I don't know the title of the song, but whatever.
Evander sings now.
Would you like to, I don't know, put on a little show for us?
The stars at night are big and bright. Deep in the heart of Texas. That's all I know.
Okay, no, that was perfect. Honestly, that was everything that I could have ever hoped for, and actually quite a bit more. So with that, the sheriff comes back out of the bank, looking begrudging and annoyed and sopping wet, and in his giant mitten hand, he is holding $200. And he offers it to Arthur wordlessly and tries to take Reba from you as he gives you the money.
Yeah, Arthur's just going to take the money, and then just basically, as soon as the sheriff has his arms in a position where he might be able to grab Reba, Arthur's just going to drop, just let go of her completely, so she just falls.
He's going to roll something really fast.
She's going to hit the floor and die. I can feel it.
She does hit the floor. I don't know if she dies or not. We're not going to roll for that right now, I think. That may be a little bleak, given just how bleak the conversation on the way over was.
Can I do something? Can I do something dumb?
You can always do something dumb. I never asked that.
Can Itchy try and make sure she doesn't hit the ground?
Yeah. Give me I don't know, athletics or finesse. Give me just straight finesse.
That is 2 successes out of 3.
2 successes. You managed to cradle her head from hitting the ground.
All right, I think
you're gonna have to
when
dive
he's there,
off of Evander, so you can't collect her entire body, but she at least is not getting any more head trauma.
Itchy wanted to make sure that she is alive, because as he grabs her, grabs her head and makes sure that it doesn't hit the ground, he's just to everybody, he's just well, make sure that we got dead and alive, just like the poster said. And then he leans into Reba. So only she can hear. He says, "Now, me and Arthur are friends. He said he wants you alive. You're gonna be alive. That pain you feel right now, you're gonna feel it for the rest of your natural life. God damn it. And he spits on the ground, and very slowly, like, pulls her up. And then, so the group can hear, he's just like, well, that was a close one, gang.
Reba is staring off into the middle distance. She has no fucking idea what's going on right now. The sheriff gives you a really aggressively platonic slap on the back, like really trying hard for it to be like, thanks, bro, and not communicate any sort of romantic attraction at all. And he grabs Reba by the collar with his offhand and he drags her body inside.
Arthur's gonna follow behind and then lean on his desk.
Slick's in there putting his boots back on.
Yeah.
He's wringing his hat out currently.
Yeah. Sheriff just kind of tosses Reba into the cell and says, well, I'm gonna go get the barber, try and get this thing fixed up. Now, if you gentlemen don't mind, and he gestures to the deputy boy, Gumby-looking thing. Piss boy. Sorry, Deputy Piss Boy. That's not the name. It's fine.
Sheriff, me and you need to have a conversation.
Well, let's start talking.
He pulls out the playing card again.
Ichi goes to block the door.
The sheriff looks very concerned.
You told me there was no signs of this. So why did the little fella in the corner over there find this on the street? And why did you turn white as a ghost when I shown it to you at the manor?
If you found it on the street, that means I didn't find it on the street. You understand that, right? Like, if I had found it, I would have told you that I had found it. I don't want that Byron Black motherfucker running rampant through this town, just as much as you don't want him running rampant through this town.
Arthur's just going to stare him down for a minute.
The sheriff meets your eyes. He's not backing down on this. He may be incredibly injured, but he is the law here. And he doesn't want you thinking that he's weak.
I already know he's weak. I can just tell. A man who falls in love so easily and falls out of it doesn't have a strong enough heart to...
If I find out you've been hiding Byron from me, me and you are gonna have a little talk using these fists.
If I knew where Byron Black was, he would be sitting in this fucking jail cell with this old woman you brutalized.
Arthur's just going to piss himself laughing. And then he's going to look at him and go,
if you couldn't deal with this bitch, you think you can deal with Byron Black?
She got the jump on me.
She's 68 goddamn years old.
What do you do when a 68-year-old pops out of a bush at you and shoots you through the hand?
Shoot her in the knees and kick her in the head.
Clearly. Now, can I help y'all with anything else, or will that be all?
I'm going to gesture to Itchy to move out of the way.
Itchy moves out the way.
As you walk outside, you see Piss Boy struggling to drag the corpse of Dolly up the stairs into the jailhouse.
I'm just going to grab the corpse one-handed and throw it into the jailhouse.
Thanks.
Slick was walking towards the door when this thing comes flying in. She's like, oh, just shit.
Their body slaps against
has
the
to
wall.
do like a big step over it.
Yeah.
Hands up!
Literally.
The storm does not seem to be letting up at all.
Do y'all fancy a beer?
Oh, please. For the love of God, let us get back to the bar.
Oh, I need to add me money in before I forget.
So you guys heading to the Pink Pony Saloon and Inn?
Yep.
Sweet. It is pretty much directly across the street. So as you guys walk in, it's totally empty. There's fucking no one in there. Just the bartender behind the bar polishing a glass.
Slick walks over to a table and just sort of sits down, ready to be not miserable anymore.
Arthur raises his fingers, like, with three up. and then just sits down.
The bartender nods at you in acknowledgement and starts pouring a few aggressively room temperature beers and brings them to your table.
Slick drinks his basically down in one shot.
For sure. The bartender starts pouring you another one.
The good stuff. Is there anybody? So there's nobody else really. I mean, it's probably what, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this point?
Yeah, just
something
about.
like that.
Yeah.
So really, there's not really anybody in there playing cards or anything yet.
No, not yet. That'll happen a little later in the night. You know, the card games typically
for sure.
kick off like 9 or 10.
So he basically just takes his cards out of his pocket and just starts shuffling for something idle to do.
Itchy looks around the table and he's just like, all right, fellers, what's next? What's next on the old agenda here?
Well, it seems like Arthur needs to find this Byron fella, but I mean, do we really have any leads, or do we want to go try and find Ezekiel next? It really seems like a lose-lose situation, if I'm being honest.
I mean, any way you see it, I guess we get to skin and gut and outlaw.
True, but this Castile business, that's not good business.
I wouldn't worry much about that.
Arthur's just gonna look straight at Slick and go,
I would.
Why?
Castile was a powerful man.
Slick stops and looks at him and goes, and how the hell would you know?
I'm a bounty hunter.
Itchy gasps.
Yeah, the fact that Itchy thought you were just murdering these women out of cold blood makes us.
I thought you were just doing that for fun.
Itchy's just along for the ride of the hobby murderer.
Son, every bounty hunter has heard of Castillo.
He ain't nothing but a little nerd.
And I'm 4'3" and skinny as fuck.
You are decidedly not, sir. My eyes may be bad, but I don't think that's the case.
The Slick just keeps shuffling his cards. Look, I haven't heard hide nor hair of him in over a year, all right? How would he possibly know where I am?
Well, if Reba has heard about you, it's got to be pretty recent that he's been mentioning you, because she's got a memory like a goldfish.
I know how that is. What are we talking about again?
People remember some weird shit in their dying moments, you know?
She's not dead.
You don't know that. It's been like 10 minutes. She could have died any minute ago.
No, she's still alive. You don't want to know how I know. She's
Thank you,
still alive, though.
I kind of do want to know.
It's one hell of a story, and I don't think I got the time quite yet.
No, you can go ahead. Let's hear it.
Well, I just had this kind of intuition, you know. I don't know how it happens, but, well, it happens. I can tell you for a fact, I know she's still alive.
Slick and Arthur, you both get this horrible pain in your temples just at the same exact moment.
Oh. Bad beer. Oh, boy.
Bad murder.
And in just a couple of seconds, it goes away. But it's just a horrible, horrible pain and a screeching noise.
Can I add something?
Absolutely.
In addition to that noise, you just hear like a faint heartbeat for like 3 seconds.
Ow.
We're gonna need something stronger than beer.
Will each of you roll an analyze check as well?
One success.
I got snake eyes.
Snake eyes. Slick, you think that you may have heard Itchy's thoughts for a moment, and that is just what it's like inside of his brain all the time. And Arthur, you're pretty sure that the beer might be poison.
Well, this is how I die. I lived a good life.
The bartender brings all of you over a shot of what appears to be high-proof grain alcohol. You can't really tell. It's translucent, and it smells like ethanol.
One question. How certain am I that I've been poisoned?
I don't think you're 100% sure. I just don't think you have any idea what the fuck just happened to you.
Okay. He's just gonna throw the shot back straight away.
Yeah, you just don't have any other explanation for what could have possibly happened other than it being poison.
Yeah, Slick also puts the shot back. Even if he had any inkling of what that was, it's just booze.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the solution for most problems.
Arthur's gonna put his feet up and put his hat over his head and just go to sleep.
Yeah, I think Slick would not necessarily do the same, but he'd sort of just pass time doing card tricks and stuff. Nothing really particular. I mean, he doesn't really have a dog in any of the fights going on right now, so.
Yeah, heard. And what about you, Itchy?
Itchy's a follower. He's gonna lean back in his chair. Chair's gonna fall right over.
Yeah, that tracks. That definitely tracks. I would say you guys have probably been sitting there for a couple of hours, just kind of napping and ignoring each other and trying to wait out the storm. By the time that the rain finally stops, there's a little bit of a commotion outside. You hear the sheriff yelling pretty dramatically.
What are the odds that's something we're about to get involved in?
Sounds like pretty close to 100% for me.
God damn it.
Let's go have a look then, shall we?
Fuck it, why not? The way this day's gone, I'm sure it's gonna come to us either way. Might as well meet it outside.
That's the spirit.
Before we get out there, what we betting? Somebody else is dead.
No. I bet a crisp high five.
Deal.
As you guys walk outside, let me say that directly into the mic instead of weird. You see the corpse of Dolly and the corpse of Reba, both with white sheets over them in the street.
See, told you.
Well, that must have happened while I fell asleep.
And you see them getting loaded into a cart, but the cart has no horse. It's just some fucking guy holding the cart with his hands.
It's a man named Horse.
That would be exquisite.
And he has a horse named Man.
Speaking of which, where are y'all's horses? Did you tie them up outside, or?
I think Slick put his back where he found it.
Yeah.
Mine would be still tied up outside the sheriff's office.
Yeah.
Evander would have been having his head poking through the saloon doors the whole time.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm sorry I didn't address that earlier. I forgot to let you, or give you the opportunity to bring your dancing horse into a bar.
I wouldn't bring it into a bar. Now that's just plain disrespectful.
And the sheriff looks up from where he's helping load these corpses with his big mitten hand and kind of just gives you two a nod, or gives the three of you a nod. Gives the two of you a nod and gives Itchy a little wink. I don't know why he's gonna wink at Itchy, but he winks at Itchy. He doesn't know why either.
All right, I guess we're back on.
He's really unsure what to think about all of this, and he's kind of intrigued by the fact that you can read his mind and kind of icked. He doesn't know.
I get it.
You make him itchy.
That's why they call me.
Do we see why the sheriff was yelling about things? Was it just the fact that Dolly was...
Yeah, Reba died.
Which one was the alive one? Reba?
Yeah.
Reba was alive, but yeah, now Reba's dead. No, it just seems like he was directing traffic very loudly because he's incapacitated and is trying to make up for that with, loud directions and being
compensating.
Very in charge. Yeah, he's a little emasculated right now. Arthur kind of made him feel like less of a man, and then he's had all these weird feelings for Itchy, and he doesn't quite understand what's going on with him today. But this is quite possibly the worst day of his life. I mean, there is a hole through the palm of his fucking hand. It's big enough you could pass a quarter through it.
The worst day of his life so far.
The worst day of his life so far. That's true. The three of you.
There is always tomorrow.
Yep. Slick will look at the commotion and just be like, I guess on the plus side, it's not really anything we're needed for, so...
Can I do an analyze check to see if on the white sheet there's any more than two bloody areas on Reba's sheet? Because if she's had 2 bullet holes through her knees, there'd just be 2 bloody areas there. But for her to die when we've makeshift patched her up, you know, it's a possibility, but Arthur don't want to think that way. He wanted her to suffer.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you absolutely can. I think in order to tell if she's been shot somewhere else or if she's bleeding from somewhere else, you'll have to get 3 successes or closer to check under the sheet.
I got 1 success.
1 success. With 1 success, you have a bad feeling, but you're not sure why.
I'm gonna walk over.
The sheriff looks at you kind of like shifty-eyed, like, the hell are you doing back over here? You got your money. What the hell else you want from me?
How did she die?
She bled out. You shot her twice.
Call it! Arthur's gonna just look. He's not even gonna ask permission, he's just gonna throw the white sheet over on Reba, just to make sure it's not another blood hole, like a bullet hole anywhere.
You don't see another bullet hole, but she looks rough. Like, rougher than how she looked when you left her.
Is there
and
any...
you don't know if that's...
Sorry, I was gonna ask if you can see any, like, bruising on her neck and stuff like that.
Yeah. No visible bruising on her neck, but she has a big bruise on her temple.
Understandably from being kicked in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't quite that bad when you left her, but it may have bloomed. You don't know yet.
I'll throw the white sheet back over and just walk off. I'm not going to say anything to the sheriff, just walk off.
The sheriff's like looking around, baffled. He's trying to like, I don't know, ingratiate himself with Slick and Itchy, and he's like, you know, shrugging and kind of putting on a little bit of a show. Like, what's with that guy?
Yeah, he's still on the porch of the bar, and he just sort of he's leaning against the wall next to the door, just watching Arthur do his thing, not really just assuming that, you know, it was a death by quote-unquote natural causes.
I just kind of follow them and figure it out when I get there.
Where is Arthur walking off to?
He's going to go back into the bar, and then he's going to sit at a table in the bar and pull out, like, a notebook.
What's in your notebook, Arthur?
All of the bounties that Arthur has gone after or is currently going after, and he's just finally going to put a line through Reba and Dolly.
Itchy somehow materializes behind Arthur. He walks in, but he's very soundless. And so Itchy is just like over Arthur's shoulder and is just like, is that some kind of reverse death note?
Well, I mean, I guess in theory it would be like a death note, right? Because the names that are in it, he wants to die, right?
I mean,
I was gonna say,
guess it's just a really slow death note.
You think you could have killed him faster?
Sounds like you need to work on your PB. Itchy goes over to the bar, grabs another beer, downs it, and he's just like, y'all, I don't know what kind of headspace I'm in right now. I'm just kind of saying things, stream consciousness and all that.
This is different than usual.
Well, Evander told me to do it. It helps me process the events that are happening to me. I mean, I do trust him. He is a licensed therapist.
I'm trying to make a horse pun with the word therapist, but the word horse isn't in therapist.
That's a great observation.
As it gets a little bit later in the afternoon and the commotion outside has kind of died down, the corpses are now presumably buried in the pauper's graveyard behind the church. The bar is starting to fill out a little bit more. You have some folks who are here and who are willing to drink, maybe even willing to talk, maybe willing to gamble.
I think Slick just sort of relaxes because now he's in his environment. And he sort of sets up a table and just sort of starts doing like the Barker thing where he's just like, hey, anybody want to do some gambling? Gambling at this table over here. Cards. Lean cards. Any game you like.
How much money do you have on you, Slick?
I have $28.
$28. Arthur, how much money do you have now?
$270.
$270. And how about you, Itchy?
75.
75.
I spent a lot of money on guns during character creation.
You did. You definitely did. And Arthur didn't share any of his bounty with you guys. Although I guess that's
I almost
fair.
went for some, but
I mean, I did the hard work.
I know better than to push it.
Yeah, that's true. I have no doubt that Arthur would have shot either of you if you had tried to take any of that money from him. Roll me 1d6.
6.
Oh, hell yeah. You managed to get 6 people interested in a game with you.
Hell yes. So we set up a game of, I guess, probably just Texas Hold'em. Probably the easiest game to play.
You know what?
Yeah.
Itchy will jump in.
Sweet.
Slick, being the host of the game, uses his deck of marked playing cards.
Absolutely.
Arthur's gonna stay close enough in earshot so he can hear any like gossip, because he knows once people start drinking, words start coming out, and they don't tend to mean to say it, but they do.
Yeah, for sure. Are you doing anything to try and pry information out of people, or are you just sitting there looking like a fucking henge?
The latter.
Yeah, that definitely tracks. And Itchy,
If Itchy-
Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if Itchy notices people looking at Arthur like weird, he's just gonna be like, "Don't mind him. He's had a long day."
And I think as the 3 of you are sitting there, we'll do the gambling checks off camera because it's going to get a little repetitive with you stealing money from 6 people. But, Itchy, do you notice that he has marked cards? Do you think? Is that something that Itchy would even know how to look for?
Itchy absolutely notices, but he doesn't say anything.
Yeah. So you're letting
In
Slick
fact-
steal money from you as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're partners. Like, my money is his money is our money.
I say he's got the cheaty brain thoughts thing, so.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah,
didn't even...
actually, yeah. I think Itchy is able to like read.
He can
Slick's
cheat on his
mind.
own by just reading the cards by people's minds.
God, you're right. It's a double cheat system.
Yeah, I didn't even really consider the implications of this when I was like, yeah, fuck it, we'll just make it canon. So congratulations, you guys are taking these guys for an absolute fucking ride. But with you robbing 6 people, nearly blind, you have created quite an audience, Slick. And there in the crowd are 2 guys that you recognize. They're not friends.
Slick, he'll recognize them, but I mean, it's generally better to not make a scene
Yeah.
when you're trying to maintain, a cover of some sort.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you want to roll an analyze check to see if you know where you remember them from?
1 success.
1 success. You know that these are guys that you met in Omaha, Nebraska. Maybe a year ago, year and a half ago.
Slick's gonna he'll realize that he probably can't get too much more money from these guys, and he'll start to pack up the table. And what time is it, do you think?
It's probably about 7 p.m. at this point.
That's
and
way
we're-
earlier than I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
He'll be like, well, it's been a long day. Gonna head to bed.
Both of them stand up, and one of them puts his hand on your shoulder. Says, I don't think it's time for you to go to bed.
Arthur's gonna see this and put his hand on his hand on the guy's shoulder and go,
I don't think you want to mess with him, son.
I think Itchy puts his hand on Arthur's shoulder and it's just like, I feel out of the loop.
The second
What are
guy,
we doing here, fellers?
The second guy reaches for the gun on his waist. And with that, we're gonna call it. Oh my god, what the fuck? The 3 of you did absolutely nothing that I needed you to do.
is this not what every episode has been so far? We've done nothing that we needed to.